I'm here now because I've made a decision. And who knows, maybe in freaking 3 weeks from now, I'm not here. All right. But the thing is, I'm going to make decisions. When something happens, I'm going to make a decision. I'm not going to just sit there and just let life happen to me. I refuse to do that because it doesn't make any sense. I deserve better. I deserve to have the control, at least to be like people out there who are talking about, oh, the government can't make me do this. Government can't make me do that. But you sure as hell control yourself and put yourself in a box and don't allow yourself to grow. Like you don't give yourself freedom. Like you have to do things. You got to make actions. And that it's a lot more about action than it is about words. A lot more. And if you aren't doing that, then you've lost it. And you got to take a reset. And you got to say to yourself, hey, you know what? I'm willing to spend a couple $1,000s to get a freaking life coach because I'm not where I want to be right here. And who knows if it's supposed to be exactly what I thought it was, even more. But if it's going to bring me value, then let me just go ahead and sign up for it. You know what? And if I lose a couple $1,000s off of it, you know what? I got a learning experience from it, and I'm going to make that money back. I'm going to make that money back tenfold because I learned something from that. I'm investing in myself. If you invest in yourself, it's not a bad investment. If you're investing in yourself, it is not a bad investment because I count on me. Like I know that I'm going to win. No matter what, I'm going to win. I'll figure it out. I thank God for my ability to be able to be smart. I thank God for my ability to have a family. I thank God for my ability to be able to have my physical, well-being and whatnot. But regardless of what happens, I'm going to figure it out. Because that's a decision that I'm making every single day, that I'm not going to just stop. I'm not going to be submissive to an idea that this is not for me. I don't have imposter syndrome. I truly believe that I deserve to be where I am. Like everybody, I don't know if everybody does this, but I know that when I was growing up, I used to always hear that. All right. Welcome. It is October day. What's today's date?
October 11th.
October 11th, brother. How are you feeling today, man? How are you feeling?
I'm great, Chris. How are you?
And I'm doing absolutely amazing, man. So I'm super excited. I'm going to let some people hop on and get to it. So if you are here and you are live, go ahead and put in the chat box right now, live. And let us know where you're coming from. I know right now we're streaming on probably 4 or 5 different platforms. So if you are live, wherever you're coming from, go ahead and put that in there right now because we're going to get straight to it. Today's message is so important because I think so many people fail to understand how important their message actually is, right? So we're gonna talk about how messaging actually affects your overall business, how to do it the right way. So this is a super awesome topic today. So if you're live, man, just go ahead and say live and where you're actually coming from. All right, so I've got some people here. I got Bernie coming live, got Samson, awesome. Talked to Samson actually today. Got Nathan, got Troy, got Jensen, got Matt, got Philip. This is awesome. All right, so we'll get straight to it. What's up, Jeff Augie? How you doing, man? Yeah, got Tyler Morgan in Kansas City. All right, there you go. All right, so we're going to hop into this. And so this is a conversation that I love talking about because it's so powerful in your ability to actually affect real change in your business and how your customer perceives you. All right, so I think it was last week, we actually talked about a little bit about branding in our Wealth Builder call. And so if you don't mind, Mike, just real quick, when you talk about brand, the whole analogy between brand not being a mirror and it actually being a window, walk people through what that exactly means so we can get a clear understanding of your brand, and then we'll kind of transition into today's topic, which is actually messaging.
Yeah, for sure. So your brand is how people view you and not how you view yourself. So that's why we use that. That's why we use that analogy between the window and the mirror. So when you really break it down, right? When you think of Nike and Nike being a status for greatness, championship caliber, performance, right? That's not like, yes, there is a component like Nike views themselves as that, but by and large, they didn't just plant their flag and say, you know what, we're gonna be this championship caliber brand. That came from the development of their product and just the overall reception and perception of the brand, right? You sign Michael Jordan and then he goes on to win 6 championships. Naturally, that's going to be one of the things that boosts you up to that level. So while yes, we all like to smell our own farts, if I may be so bold to say, where we all want to think so highly and think that we have the best product, the best customer service, but in reality, it's how people are talking about you when you're not in the room, and that's the actual definition of what brand is what people say when you're not there.
Yep, and I love it, man. So like you said, simply put, a brand is not a mirror, it's not what you see yourself as, it's a window, is what people see you as, right? So today, it's a little bit of a twist on that, but it's actually talking about messaging. All right, so I'm not sure you got the slides up, man. Go ahead and knock out the slides. All right, so today's message is going to talk about magnetic messaging. All right, how to consistently replicate your ideal client. All right, how are you able to get your ideal client to come in on a consistent basis? And most often than not, it's done through your messaging. Okay, we've all got, and I'll get straight into it. We've all got people out there, right, who they have crappy messaging, they have a crappy product, but they make good money. All right, like people out there make really good money, but they have really crappy products. I'm sure you guys all know about them. So people out there who are, honestly, Angie's List makes a lot of money. People all the time talk about how crappy they are. So right now, what I want you guys to do is in the comment box, if you guys can think of a service out there that's not that great, but they make a lot of money, go ahead and put it in the chat box. Go ahead and put it in the chat box right now. If you can think of a service or a product that's not that great, but they seemingly make a lot of money. So let me explain to you exactly why messaging is so important. Wait for people in the chat box right now. All right, so I'm thinking right now of, in my own mind, is like Angie's List. I'm thinking right now of another crappy service of people aren't really big fans of like the, McDonald's, see if you got, gutter cleaning. All right.
Your competitors.
Honestly, your competitors, that are not doing a good job, right? My local Chipotle. I will say that, that's really funny, Troy. I will say that I have a huge love for Chick-fil-A, but I get very, very annoyed when the Chick-fil-A experience is not the exact experience that I'm used to having when I go somewhere where there's just the small things of my pleasure not being said. So let's talk about why it's so critical to master your messaging. All right? It is so important to master your messaging right now because honestly right now there are few barriers to entry. All right? There's a few barriers to entry. All right? I'm actually getting a call right now from Kia. It's kind of funny. But there's a lot of few barriers to entry. All right, so right now I hear in this space all the time about people saying, chuck in the truck. All you need to do is have a truck, maybe get a Facebook profile together, and you can start your own business. All right, right now the barriers to entry are so small, and there's a lot of competition there. All right, so it's important that your messaging is actually reflecting the things because right now you're dealing with a lot of people in your space, and it's not that hard to enter to the market. So you guys are competing right now with a lot of low-end quality people. So it's super important that your messaging separates you from those people and you don't turn to a commodity. All right, if that makes sense, guys, go ahead and, that's funny. Anthony Pryor said that a service that actually stinks is Kia. But if that makes sense right now, why? People are easily able to enter the market, and so you guys are competing with a lot of low competition. Why it makes sense for your messaging to be on point so that you're able to separate yourself from the people out there and you don't become a commodity in that space. If that makes sense, guys, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, get a little heat check, make sure that we are having the correct conversation. It says, Mike, I don't think the main mic is picking up. I think there's another mic source.
Try it now.
Eddie, others, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up right now if it looks better. All right, I got some thumbs up. Actually, got a lot of them, so I'm assuming that it's all good to go. All right. Also, there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of noise that's out there with messaging. All right, because it's so easy to do it. There's a lot of noise, and honestly, your customers are getting very tone deaf to this, right? They are hearing so much. You guys are hearing so many ads. Like right now, you guys scroll through Facebook, you're gonna see so many ads. If you go on YouTube, before every single thing, you're gonna get an ad. If you go on Google, you're gonna get bombarded with ads. So your customers right now are getting so much out there. They're so confused. There's so much information. It's so important to dial in on your messaging. All right, to dial in on your messaging. All right, so I'm gonna read off the slide right here. It says, strong messaging will do 80% of the legwork before you're selling. All right, who has heard of the analogy that we use over here at CGN of golf, marketing and sales being like golf? All right, marketing and sales being like golf. If you've heard that analogy before of how your marketing is very much your shot off the tee, and sales is like putting it in. If you've heard that before, let me know, because that's so important that we have to understand that. All right, I talk to a lot of people all the time. They're doing the Shin Fu Mastermind, aka the previously known as the CSA. A lot of people out there who are asking questions about sales, but they fail to remember that it's not just like sales is not like a silver bullet. All right, it's not the fact I can just get good at sales where I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna be great at sales and that's it. The reality is we need to have proper messaging that allows for us to be able to even have those opportunities for sales. All right, so if your messaging is doing what it's supposed to do, it's going to make your sales a lot easier. All right, imagine a scenario. You're talking to a lot of people and you can't get people out there who are looking, who are your ideal client, right? Those who are out there who are willing to spend $50,000, $60,000 on your product. All right, so you're talking to a lot of people who are lowball people. Maybe they have really small budgets. They have no idea what you're doing. No matter how great you are at sales, I'll ask you this question, Mike. Let's imagine you're a master salesperson, but you're consistently talking to people out there with budgets of $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, and your product is $65,000. Even if you're a great salesman,
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all. Because you have to have messaging that actually aligns with who you are. Right now, there's a whole group of people out there that are very much still in that handyman range. All right, they're handyman. Not only they started out as a handyman company, and as they transition on now into looking for high ticket jobs, they have to understand their messaging has to totally change. All right, it has to align with who you currently are. All right, and actually who you're actually trying to be, not who you currently are. All right, so your target market continuously is bombarded by marketing, commercials, and selling. All right, that goes more and more and more into that whole idea that is so important for your messaging to actually make sense for your client. All right, you have to be very clear on what you do. All right, so let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that, how we do that at CGN. We've had to transition pretty recently, realizing that who we were. All right, who we best serve, who we best take care of. And if we don't have a clear understanding of who that is, then we can't help out the people that we want to actually care for. Additionally, for our clients, for our prospects, for potential clients, there needs to be clear understanding of who we best serve and who we're not a good fit for, right? So our messaging needs to be in line with who we actually are. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this, talk about how we actually do this. All right, another reason why is because customers are exhausted with the stuff we're talking about, and your customers are very, at this point right now, they're very secluded and very close to their chest as far as who they're gonna spend money with. All right, who they're gonna spend money with. Right now in the chat box, if you've had a scenario where you feel as if you've had a sales call with somebody where you feel like, where they've given out the vibe that maybe you're there to rip them off. All right, I deal with this all the time. Like, granted, I'm out of sales right now, but a lot of people I talk to say, oh, Chris, well, you're pushy about this or pushy about that. Like, reality is, I'm pushy for you to be the best version of yourself. All right, and I understand the real reason why people are kind of hesitant about that is because they don't want to be ripped off. Today I talked to somebody on the phone, and he said, I want to make sure that I check you guys out to make sure the numbers are right. And I said, what did you mean by that?
What does that mean?
Yeah, what he was trying to say was he wanted to make sure that our value and our benefit actually aligned with the numbers that were actually out there, right? We're very transparent about our numbers, right? And that comes from it didn't come from a place of him trying to be mean or trying to reduce our value. But he didn't have a full understanding of our messaging. Our messaging is like, so you can automate your business. Like, we are not a website company. We're not just a marketing and sales company. We're a company that takes your business and gives you a healthy business where you're able to spend money where you actually want to. You're actually getting the gross profit you want to, the net you want to, right? So people out there in your space are very holding money close to their chest and they don't want to be ripped off. All right, so it's very important that we get our messaging up and going. All right, I have that. So Nathan Morales said he's had that feeling before. All right, where people are out there thinking, hey, this person's gonna rip me off. All right, so we need to make sure that it's very, very clear in that messaging. All right, if you fail to provide the value, then you'll be left at a price war. All right, if your messaging does not clearly talk about all the reasons why you, not just all the value that you provide, and I don't want to say all the reason why you're great, because it is not about you in this perspective. It is about how you're able to take care of your client. So if your messaging is not very clear in that way, you're putting yourself in a commodity zone where people are going to beat you up over and over and over again about your price. They're going to be looking for the cheapest price. I think I saw today, did you see that comment today in Common Sense Contracting?
Which one?
There was actually a screenshot.
Yes.
And go ahead and walk through it if you don't mind.
Yeah, let me pull it up here real quick.
There was a screenshot that actually happened today in the Common Sense Contracting group where there was a...
Are we talking from Matt Taylor?
Yeah,
Are we talking the same thing?
Yeah, I think it's from Matt Taylor.
So
if you want to bring that up and actually show that, would be great. So you can talk about that, because what was happening was this person had, I guess, had a conversation with Matt at some time, maybe gone through the whole process with Matt, but was really concerned about price. And they chose what seemingly be like the cheaper of the contractors, or, you know, whatever it may be. And then they're having to come back to Matt because they can't get a hold of their customer.
Let's see if this works.
And I think many people kind of chimed in and talked about how, you know, they would charge double, which I understand. You know, we don't want to tattoo over someone else's work, so I totally get it. But I think one thing that was lost in that was our responsibility as the contractor to put our value out there so people are not bidding on price. Are you able to bring that up?
Yeah, I got it pulled up. I want to read it off.
Yeah, go ahead and read it off if you don't mind.
Yeah, so this is what Matt's original caption says. When they want that detailed estimate, follow-up calls and emails, no response, you never hear anything back until ... I bid this job over a year ago, and it is a screenshot from what evidently was a prospect at one time that said, hey Matt, it's Jen from so-and-so. The contractor I hired to do my kitchen is not responding to text or phone calls. My cabinets are at the house.
So when I read through that, my first thought went to, there was two big pain points. The first pain point was they've got a contractor that they've hired that they can't get a hold of. All right? You guys right now are in an industry where the barrier of entry is low, and there's people out there who are not as professional, who don't have the same kind of communication. The experience is not the same with working with them. And that same situation comes about because of the fact that they chose this contractor seemingly based off of price. It's our responsibility to show the actual benefit and the value so that we are not getting beat up over price. Because yes, that's a great opportunity for Matt to have that conversation. Hopefully the sale actually went well. He was able to talk to them about, hey, great, you know, this is my process. Can I share with you how working with us will kind of look, go through the whole process together. But I think one thing that was totally missed in that whole conversation was that we have a responsibility not to commoditize ourselves, and that is done most often through our messaging.
Let me stop you real quick right there. If you guys listen to our podcast, and if you don't, you should, shameless plug, the entirety of last week's episodes, even leading into today's episode that released, it's all about not being a commodity and being able to provide that full-out transformation and experience that your customers actually want. So I would highly recommend going back through and listening to it. I think it's like 4 episodes in total. Literally, do them all back to back to back, and it's going to paint the full picture for you.
Okay, so in that same vein, how are you able to position yourself as a non-commodity? All right, so I'm sure everybody knows this. Matt's a good dude, does great work, but we've talked locally about a lot of hang-ups and happens in this process. Okay, so got it. So how does someone position themselves as not a commodity?
Are we gonna go like all the way to like the extreme, or are we just gonna keep it like real simple? Like, are we like, honestly, let's just go to like the transformation and the experience of it all, because that's what this really comes down to. And actually, let me flip myself here out. There we go. Hey guys. So what this comes down to is you need to realize, as we talked about, when we talk about low barriers to entry, literally, if I wanted to, I can get myself a nice little pickup truck, and then all the tools I needed, maybe grab a few of my buddies, and let's go bang out a new kitchen. Obviously, there's a lot more skill involved in that, but that's kind of the main point when we say that there's limited barriers to entry. But if I just say, listen, we're going to come in and knock out your kitchen, but that's it, okay, so what? But that's where you guys have the value of being in this group and engaging with us on these Facebook Lives and taking in all the trainings to where you can realize if you position yourself as the contractor who delivers the experience. And I don't mean experience as in great customer experience or communication. I mean that you provide a transformation within a family's life themselves, and then just the entire encapsulation of it all. I know we talked about previous on a podcast episode, and I think maybe on the last CGTV episode, about how you just aren't providing a new kitchen. Like, there's a family this year that is so excited to have their friends and family over for Christmas because it's gonna be the first time ever in their lives where they're able to comfortably host 20 plus people in one space. And think of all the dinners that you provide now, all the homework, all the homework assignments where you're gonna have parents sitting down and doing homework with their kids, and that is where all of this really ties together. So a kitchen is not just a kitchen. It's where you spend the majority of your time, either with your family, your friends, entertaining guests, whatever the case. And we literally went through an entire exercise over the course of the past week and a half or so as a company, where we are breaking down every single service from landscaping, painting, remodeling, into seeing what the overall transformation actually looks like, because we understand that you guys are not a commodity. You guys are somebody who is changing the lives for other families involved, and that's the coolest fucking thing in the world.
Dude, I love that. And what I want to do is, we just talked about the problem, and what I don't want to do is I don't want to just harp on the problem. I want to give some extra solutions for the situation as well. So right now, I'm going to go straight to the slide, talk about the goal of marketing, all right, is to make selling superfluous. Now,
that's a big word.
Yes, I think that when I first heard this quote, I think that I used context clues to understand exactly what it meant, but it finally clicked when I heard the quote, right? So many times I hear people talk about how, oh yeah, well, I don't do marketing myself, I just get word of mouth. Or most of my leads come from word of mouth, or most of my work comes from word of mouth. And understanding that in order to recreate that in scale, that is exactly what it is. What it is the marketing, the word of mouth, the messaging that was put out there about you made it so that you didn't have to sell at all. It made it superfluous. It made it not needed. So, I didn't know this out beforehand, but superfluous is straight up just unnecessary, not needed. So the understanding that the goal of your marketing is to make your selling not needed. Okay, so if that's the case, then all of your messaging needs to align with this simple fact. All right, so if you're here with me and you want to dive into this and you understand that the goal of my marketing, the goal of the messaging that I'm putting out there is to make my selling superfluous, just go ahead and type in superfluous into the chat, because I really want to think about that and go down that rabbit hole, because it's one that's worthwhile going down. All right, so go ahead and type in superfluous in the chat. All right, we need to make content with this concept in mind. All right, we need to be answering questions that many people wait until their sales call to answer. All right, we need to be answering questions, once again, that many people wait until their sales call to answer. All right, I know the three big questions that people want to have a question to. And if you want to type this up so people know this, but they want to have pretty much three questions answered. All right, anybody buying anything on earth wants to have three questions answered. One, can you solve my problem? All right, can you solve my problem? All right, that's the deep level problem, that's the surface level problem, but that's a question that has to be answered. All right, because of the fact that marketing and messaging is supposed to make selling superfluous and not needed, then we need to make it very clear through our messaging who we best serve. All right, that is huge. Now, if you really want to go hard on this, if you really want to go and get the real secret sauce, you need to also include who you do not serve, who you're not a good fit for. Because when you do that, you solidify with the people that you are a good fit for, that they are a good fit. All right, so number one is, can you solve my problem? And your messaging should address that issue. All right, number two is, how does it work /timeline? How does it work /timeline? All right, so that's everything from different features and benefits, what the process is like working with you, what's the next step. You need to make it abundantly clear, how does it work? All right, so if you understand that someone's not willing to go forward with you because they have certain stipulations on, when they're going to do this, when they're going to do that. In our world, is it, do you own the website? Do you not own the website? Do you own this? Do I have to do this for myself? Do I have to have my own scripts? Do I have to hire and train my own, media person? Is there going to be KPIs on that person and things like that? So what's the process like? Your messaging should be very clear. All right, we give clear next steps, and our biggest benefit we provide to people is that we provide support to their support. We provide support, like CGN itself provides support to your sales team, to your admin person, to your marketing people, to your bookkeeper. We provide support to your support. So understanding that question and making that sure that that's out there is super key. All right, so that's the second question. How does it work /timeline? And the third question is, what does it cost? What does it cost? If you right now, I'll go to the next slide because I think that that's something that is huge. All right. If you right now are attracting people who are not willing to pay your pricing, this is a kind of a gut check, but you have to look at yourself. You've got to look at yourself. All right, so in the chat right now, I want you guys to all write vibe. If you're here with me, if you're still here with me, I want you to write the word vibe because this is super big stuff. All right, your vibe attracts your tribe. The vibe that you're putting out attracts the people that are coming in. All right, I'll say that again. The vibe that you're putting out attracts the people that are coming in. If you are consistently talking to people that are beating you up on your price, consistently talking to people that are not looking for your service, but looking for something that's lesser than or something totally different than what you want, if you're consistently talking to people that are beating you up over your process and looking to follow their own process and saying this and that, it's because your vibe, what your messaging you're putting out, is attracting these people. All right? Your prospects, okay, the prospects that you are attracting are a reflection of where you currently are. All right? The prospects that you are attracting is a straight reflection of where you currently are. All right, so when we're in the space of, hey, we're talking to a lot of people out there who don't have a real business mind. All right, we are not the best fit for people who are not looking to be a true entrepreneurial business owner. If you are simply just looking to be a tradesperson, and nothing wrong with that, that's just not our best fit. I'm not trying to demonize this at all. but we are best suited for people that are looking to be entrepreneurial, that are looking to have a real impact, that understand that they have a responsibility to put themselves out there. You know, one of my favorite clients is Vicki Fowler, and I think that with Vicki, she naturally is not someone who loves being in front of the camera, but she also understands that her business benefits when she gets in front of the camera. I think recently I saw her have a video talk about, hey, this is Vicki in Slidell, Louisiana, about X, Y, and Z. I love when she does all of her things, but if she was someone who says, you know what, I don't want to do that, we wouldn't be the best fit for her because she is not solving problems in an entrepreneurial way. She's simply going to allow something like that to get in front of her. All right. I had a conversation the other day. Actually, let's do this real quick. Right now, I've had 3 people ask me this question. They asked me, do you guys pay Anthony Abbott to advocate for you guys?
No way, really?
Yeah, I've had 3 people ask me that question. I actually talked to Anthony a little bit about it yesterday through Messenger, and he was saying that he's heard that as well. But I'm going to ask you guys a question. All right, so Anthony Abbott was an awesome story. I mean, do you guys, Anthony Abbott actually closed, I think, on like a $1.5 million job pretty recently.
Yep.
All right, I want to ask you guys this question. Do you think that Anthony Abbott, the person who in Q1 sold $0,
What was Q2?
I'm pretty sure Q2 was around 16K. Mm-hmm. All right, so in Q1 sold $0, and goes forward with us in around May, June timeframe. In Q3 does 968,000. Do you guys see Anthony Abbott as an anomaly? Do you see him as an anomaly? Do you see people like Luan, first full year in business as a deck builder in Omaha, as an anomaly? Do you see Clayton Farrell, who's going to do $2 million this year in just landscaping, which is more than he's going to make in all the other branches of his actual business, as an anomaly? And I'd say that's a huge part of that. All right, Richard Norheim, similar area, no. You know, Matt Bronner, no. Anthony Pryor, no. These guys are not anomalies. What they are people who have dove into this system, thought about the importance of knowing their numbers. If you are on a sales call with any of our guys and they ask you, what's your goal for this year, and you don't know, you need to think about, like, straight gloves off, you need to think about what you're doing, because you're not running a business. If you don't know what your margins are, you need to think about that, because you're not running a business. If you are still having trouble with, getting a full understanding of what your net profit is, what your gross profit is, you need to think about that, because right now you have to be a business owner, to be entrepreneurial in that way, in those ways. And it's sad to say, but if that is what your vibe is. If your vibe is someone out there who is DIYing certain parts of their business, they're going to attract DIY people. Someone who's chaotic, they're going to attract chaotic people. Someone who calls people at 10 o'clock at night trying to figure something out, you're going to attract those people as well. All right. And no, it sounds foo-foo, but the reality is we have to understand what we are accepting, and our messaging needs to be accurate to where we want to go. All right. This analogy is all the time used. All right. If you're a 300-pound person and you want to be a 200-pound person, can you think, eat, and act like a 300-pound person? Or do you have to think, eat, and act like a 200-pound person?
200-pound person.
All right. So if that's the case, you've got to understand what your identity is. All right? What your identity is. Because it goes from, what's my identity? Then it goes to, what kind of situation is this? And then lastly goes to, what is a person with my identity doing in a situation like this? All right? So your messaging is not just about what you're saying on Facebook. It largely part is. It's not just what you're saying on your website, on your ads. It's what you are putting out there for people. All right? So your messaging needs to align in this way. All right? It's the energy that you're giving off. All right. What are you communicating to your people? All right. Prospects you're attracting are a reflection of where you're at. So right now, make a great transition and shift to understand that if I'm not attracting my ideal customer, think about it for a second and say, 1, why not? And then 2, what am I doing to attract that ideal customer? All right. 1, why am I not attracting my ideal customer? Is it because I'm not putting myself out there? Is it because the way I look online is not a great reflection of who I am as a person? Is it a reflection of the way my truck looks? I got a magnet on my truck versus actually getting it wrapped. Have I invested the $3,000 to get my truck actually wrapped to show that I'm actually in business for the long haul instead of having just a magnet on the side of the truck that just, hey, shows I'm temporary? All right. All parts of this. Do my people show up? I mean, you don't have to, like, if you're a painter, I think people expect, your clothes to have paint on them, but you still should look presentable. What message are you putting out there for people? All right, so this supersedes transcends just your marketing messaging. It's your overall message you're actually putting out to people. All right, Mike, when you hear that, I mean, as you work through all this stuff, I mean, you're on the media team and you're so ingrained into the message that we were consistently putting out. I guess, what are your thoughts when you hear all that?
I think the big thing for us especially has been just the transformation that we've undergone as a company over the course of the past month or so. Like, we realized that when people think of CGN, they think of us as the website guys. It's just the fact. It's what it's always been.
And let me comment on that. Reason why? Because
that's the thing that we've always, I guess, promoted. Like, it's obviously what we sell, but it's also the way that our messaging has been.
Yep. Honestly, man, it's the tangible thing that's out there.
Correct.
Because we are the leaders in this space. Mm-hmm. Like, if we want to call it out, like,
oh, there's nobody doing what we're doing.
Pricing on a website is our baby. Like, that's from us. So I know other people who have pricing on a website. They got that from our world. Mm-hmm. Having emotion on the website is in our world. Like, being very, very focused on not having the website be all about the contractor, but actually talk about the story that it tells. That's in our world. So that was the tangible thing that we consistently had.
Right.
All right. So realistically, I mean, outside, because website's just a stepping stool. It's just a vehicle to get where we want to go.
So that's what I was going to get to, is now, I mean, we've had this entire shift within the culture, within the company and culture itself, where it's like, no, fuck that. We're not a website company. And going back to what you were saying earlier is we do so much more than that. We support your entire team.
What's our actual end result?
Our actual end result is Legacy Maker. It's being able to get you to a place where you have automated your entire business in 18 months, where you can step away from your business to go on vacation for a week, and there's going to be more money in your bank account than by the time that you come back. And be $1 million company at 25% net profit.
So that's super important. So when our messaging was off, when our messaging was very EPP sales tool, I mean, straight up, I came up with that.
You did.
Yeah, so I mean, I love it, but at the same time, I recognize that it was not aligned with our actual message.
Right.
We've had to grow. Like, people all the time worry about different things. Like, we've been in business for about four and a half years. In that time, we've had 2 different name changes, and we've had 3 different logos, because of the fact that we are invested in doing this the right way. I mean, the reason why we're able to grow so fast, Mike, what's the revenue goal for next year?
$8 million.
$8 million.
But hang on, before $8 million, it was supposed to be $6 million literally 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and it's because we grow that way. That's why we understand we grow. Like, this quarter, we're going to do $1 million pretty easily. Because of the fact that we understand who we best serve, and we are consistently delivering to our clients. The reason why people asked the question and said, "Hey, is Anthony Abbott, getting paid for this?" is because we create raving fans.
Right.
We create legitimately raving fans. We're able to confidently say, "Hey, we don't have any failing clients. is because we understand who we best serve, and we've had to transition our messaging to align with that. Our messaging is not a website. Our messaging is not pre-qualification. Our messaging is not, weed out tire kickers. Our messaging is to build a healthy $1 million+ business that is a healthy one at 25% net. Today, Brian, who actually one of the sales guys works in the office, had a conversation with a guy, and he said, "Oh yeah, we're doing 4 million X, Y, and Z." I'm like, "Hey, that's absolutely amazing." I said, "Brian, if that guy's doing 4 million, what should he be netting?" Well, 25% of 4 million is $1 million.
$1 million.
So he should be netting $1 million. But the guy was netting probably close to like 4% off $4 million. That's not good.
No.
And so the thing is, even if he scaled back and increased his overall net, he'll probably have a lot less headache than having to produce the $4 million worth of work and only getting 4% net.
What's industry average? Like 6%, right?
I think industry average is around 5 to 6%.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, we are very clear in our messaging that, $1 million+ company within 18 months. 2, 55% gross profit margins, at least. 3, 25% net, and have a healthy business where you can spend around 10% on your marketing. That's our overall messaging. That's what we need to get. But before, we were messaging the wrong way. We were simply thinking about the EPP sales tool, the website, whatever you want to call it. All right? And when our messaging was off, we were failing our clients. Because so many people out there said, "Hey, Chris, we didn't even know you did these other things. Oh, we thought you guys just did websites. We didn't even know you did these other things." No, we give you a clear path, so you don't have to jump around anywhere. But understanding your own messaging. So if you are attracting people right now who are not your people, Richard said right there, winning is contagious. If you have a winning culture, if people in your area knew that you were winners and you highlighted them all the time. One of my favorite clients we have when it comes to this specific thought is Everson Perez. Everson Perez in San Francisco has got a whole team of winners that he's responsible for. He feels like a lot of ownership towards them. And he highlights his team all the time. It's a company full of winners. That's where you have to be. You need to message yourself and understand your true message, understand your true benefit, and actually answer that question for people so they are not in a spot where they're having to click off somewhere else and go to sleep, whatever it may be, not understanding the full understanding of who you are. All right? All right? You need to love your people more than you love your product. All right, I'm going to hop on that for probably about 2 minutes.
Go for it.
All right.
Floor is yours.
All right, but before I do that, what in the chat box right now, why do you feel like it's important to love your people more than your product? I think there's about at least 5 different reasons that I can think of right now. But why is it important in the chat box right now? Why is it important for you to love your people more than you love your product? And Mike, while people are doing that in the chat, what are your thoughts on this? Because I get a little frustrated when actually I'll ask you this question first. Do you ever see people in some of these groups who are kind of jaded?
All the time. All the time. And it's just a matter of, look, rejection, it's part of sales, but it hurts, right? And especially if you're dealing with negative customers over and over and over again. And it's one of those things, right? You started your business, maybe you came up in the trades and you're like, damn, I love this shit. But then you start dealing with clients and just bad prospects over and over again that maybe don't know how to treat you right. They don't see they don't understand your full value. And as a result, you're just going to get more and more frustrated to where it's like, damn, I started this because I love it. And now that I'm dealing with the wrong people, I've now grown resentful of my own business.
And this is what I'm going to say with that. The reason why you need to love your people, and I see here I got build culture, product can get better if you continue with the same people, all right, to stand out in the business. I love that one, Dennis. We'll talk about that in a second. Our company exists to make a better life for our team first, and then provide a great service for our clients. Yep. All right. Build people around you. The people will be around a lot longer than your product. All right. So the reason why you need to love your people more than you love your product is because it's going to drive your focus in the right way. I'll say that again. The reason why you need to love your people more than you love your product is because it's going to drive your attention and your focus in the right way. If you if you saw today's post, I think with Matt, right? And you go back to, well, this person decided not to go with me first and foremost, and they went with the cheap contractor, and now they're coming back to me, screw them. You are missing a real opportunity, and you have to recognize that at this point you're actually jaded. If you love your people more, you're going to think to yourself, hey, how do I make sure that no one else in the future has this situation where they choose someone else besides me purely based on cost? Think about that for a second. If that was totally flipped, if the thought process was, this person's going through a bad situation where they can't get a hold of their own contractor right now, they got these cabinets, they're sitting in their home, and I love my people more than I love my product, so I say to myself, how do I make sure that this person's scenario is not someone else's scenario in the future? Well, you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to have a conversation that talks about why I'm more expensive than the other people. I'm going to have my messaging very similar to Dan Sherwood on his site. I love his site where he talks about we're more than the average contractor, and here's why. It's going to force you to make sure that your customers are getting the best opportunity. You're going to be able to take care of them in that way. The reason why we harp on client wins over here is because we need to understand our own fulfillment. How we're able to, if I came into work every single day and I thought I was just running a sales team that just sold marketing and sales packages, I would not have the same fulfillment at all. But when I understand the life of Michael Gillio, the transformation of Richard, the transformation of Rob Long, the transformation of Bubba Hogan, the transformation in the awesome situation that's happening right now with Tim Catroni. I'm able to see that on a consistent basis. When I'm able to talk to people about what's going on with Jada and her family as they continue to navigate this process to get their business together. When I understand that I love my people that much, when I think about full transparency. We've had some clients recently, Autumn and
Dominic
Abato, and I recognized because of our conversation that they were a little bit fearful in the beginning. And if I simply just love my product more than I love my people, then the conversation we had, I would have been, they're a little upset and they're be straight up with you, they yelled on the phone, they're a little upset. But I love my people so much that I'm able to call it out and say, hey, right now I hear that you're scared. And this is a process that everyone goes through. Because of the fact is, this is a big change. We're not making a marginal change in your business. We are changing your life. And with that change comes a lot of friction. You got to break some eggs to make an omelet. And if I did not care about my people more than as much as I care about my product, then I would have totally missed that opportunity. The reason why getting into the motive on your calls is so important is because you care about your people. You want to make sure that you actually can take care of them. Find out what's actually going on in their world to see if you actually can help change it. So if you are not taking time out of your day on a consistent basis to find reasons and ways that you can care about your people more than your product, you're going to be consistently in a jaded situation. You have to be in that vein on a consistent basis. Change is scary. Autumn said it. Change is scary. And if you care about your people more than care about your product more than your people, you're going to miss that opportunity to be empathetic to your customer. All right. I know for a fact that the customer that Matt had was not just like, you know what, I'm going to screw Matt over and I'm not going to respond to him and I'm going to do all these things to make him mad. The reality was this person didn't know any better. They only did as much as they knew. They only did as much as they knew. And the reality was we have a responsibility to care about our people enough to be empathetic to that situation and make sure that more people in the future are not dealing with that. All right, so that's client wins. All right, do you love your people? All right, if that makes sense, I know a little on a tangent a little bit.
Just a bit.
Yeah, does that make sense? If it makes sense, just give me a thumbs up on that. But it doesn't make sense. Mike, when you hear all that and talk about loving your people when you love your product, I guess you hear me talk about it all the time, but I guess what are your thoughts on it?
I'm so glad you just threw this to me because I've been down to jump in here. You know, it's really funny as somebody where you step into the contracting industry and you really know nothing about it, right? Aaron and I, who's my partner in the media team, we both really do nothing, and so we're kind of going in blind. And as somebody who just naturally loves winning and success, being able to see that happen across all of our clients, and we celebrate the heck out of them every chance we get. When Aaron and I were running the Wealth Builder call when you guys were out in Denver, you know, we always start off those calls with, all right, let's go client wins and reviews, right? And it was a really cool situation where we, from our perspective, got to explain the importance of client wins. Because you think like it's not our business, we just come in, do our 9 to 5, and then dip. But it's so much more impactful than that. And that's something that you can't fully explain until once you and your team start to fully understand the transformation that you guys are providing. So just for example today, right? We went around on our typical Monday meetings and
if I told you right now to name off 8 client wins, could you do it?
Yeah, probably.
All right, let's just do it. Because all right. I have this ingrained in me, dude. I get to see it all the time. All right, so I'm going to give you the chance right now to name off 8 client wins. All right, so I'm going to push them at you. 1. What's the first one?
We got Clayton Farrell, who's going to cross that $2 million just off landscaping alone.
Okay. Second client win.
Josh Gadboys in Q2 hit the $1 million mark and got his gold chain from Logan.
Okay. 3.
Anthony Abbott closed that $1.5 million job.
All right. 4.
We got Eli, who just sold 2 projects. One was a $55,000 master bath, and the other was a $27,000 half bath.
Okay. 5.
We got another one here. Let's think. Chris Treese is contracting a $100,000 bid right now.
All right. 6.
Let's see if we want to go with 6. Who's another good one that I can use right now? Oh shit.
I'll help you out.
Bernardo did 88K.
Yeah.
He did 88K for his latest painting project. Speaking of another one of Bernardo started direct mail with us and already has 2 leads through it.
All right. So that's 7. Give me 8.
Todd Tribble's booked out all the way through January right now.
All right. Give me number 9. Go KHB.
KHB as a whole.
Yeah. You do what you gotta do.
Is KHB over $3 million now at this point?
Yeah. So I think KHB's probably gonna hit 3 to 5. I mean, their goal this year was $1.2 million. Their goal. I messaged them in December, and I said they went forward in November. The site launched at the end of December, and I said, hey, I'm reaching out to people, just want to kind of get clear steps on or clear understanding what you guys' overall situation is. And I said, Ryan Kelly, what's your goal? He told me his goal for the year was $1.2 million. Mm-hmm.
They blew that out in Q1.
They hit that number in the first 85 days of the year.
That's the current record, if I'm not mistaken. Did Anthony Abbott break that?
Honestly, I don't know. As fast as it happened, leave out Logan Harrington.
Yeah. Logan Harrington, as soon as the site went live, literally sold a project that day.
Yeah, exactly. $17,000 that day.
Yep. And then I think he was in the process. I'm not sure if he ever ended up closing it, but it was basically a giant project that I think came out to be like 1.1 mil.
Yeah, he actually closed that job. All right, so the thing is, we go on and on and on about clients because of the fact that we understand of what our actual change situation is. And those are just number situations. It would be countless for people out there. Kyler Gibson, Kyle Carr, Bubba Hogan, big parts of confidence piece. Tim Catroni legitimately said that his hand's so tired from answering his phone of getting these jobs coming in.
Bob Kerr went on vacation when he was supposed to have a call with Aaron and Laura about one of their projects.
Yeah, Bob Kerr going on vacation. We got Brian Daly legitimately sends FU kind of pictures, selfies to Turner, our blog guy, when he's out there on the golf course. on a consistent basis. So like consistently being about this, you know, we can go on about, you know, Everson, we can go on about every single person under the sun, James Miller, you know, it's over and over and over and over, and we're so desperate to that. So go to this next one that says date your prospect. I want to talk about this real quick because I want to talk about this. One of the phrases that I say all the time that I think Logan kind of gives me.
You can't escape my love.
That's exactly what it is. You cannot escape my love. All right. So right now, I want you guys to think about, in your world, what was it like dating your significant other? What was it like dating your significant other? Because me and Megan, we have awesome times, and sometimes we have some low times when it comes to, you know, we had a brand new baby in the house, not getting much sleep. You know, she's still breastfeeding, and so we feel like we haven't really dated each other in a while. You know, Olivia turned 3 months yesterday. We feel like we haven't dated each other in a while. But when I think about when we were dating each other, you want to get to know that person. You want to know what they're feeling. You want to do things special for them. You want to care about them. So I want to challenge you guys right now to date your prospects. Have that mentality when you're working with people, to actually date your prospects. All right? Think about when you were courting your spouse. What did you do? All right, so put it in the chat right now. When you're dating your spouse, what are some things? I mean, 'cause right now, sometimes those things die. We need to be able to rejuvenate those things. All right, so what were you doing in the very beginning when you first were trying to date or court your spouse? What were you doing? Walk me through, what does that look like? Wait, what? I did come up with that phrase. Come on, you know, you can't escape my love?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So
Logan just gives you a hard time about it. That's all.
But you can't escape my love. Legitimately, that's what I'm going to do. Thanks, Anthony, for 3 months. But what was it like when you were dating your spouse? I mean, for you right now, getting in the dating game, like walk me through what the dating game, how it looks like where people were kind of doing.
So I think the big thing for this is I'm going to actually steal a quote from Papa Shinholzer that we had on the Legacy Maker call this week. And he was basically saying along the lines of, it's puppy love, right? When you first meet that somebody and you are just so infatuated with them, you're going to try and do everything in your power to fall into their good graces, right? You're going to listen to every single word that they say. They may make a random offhanded comment about how Halloween's coming up and their favorite candy is Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. So what are you going to do? You're going to drive your butt to CVS and pick up a bag of Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and then surprise them with it. Right? So it's that kind of attention to detail that we need to give our prospects.
I love it. And here right now in the notes it says, you thought about them all the time, you cared about them, and you knew their wants and needs. You thought about them all the time, you cared about them, and you knew their wants and needs. You're thinking to yourself, if I just remodel someone else's house, if I really love my prospect, it probably makes sense for me also get some cleaners to come in this house as well. If I just built someone a brand new kitchen, hey, they're probably need a cutting board. I should probably give them an awesome gift for this as well. Hey, if I'm building this person a brand new deck, I need to at least let them know about the idea of staining this deck and what the repair looks like, because I know that they bought this today and they want it to look good for years to come. If I'm doing a pond project and I know that people get ponds because they want to look at it and relax, then I need to also offer them a patio situation so that we can best take care of them and they can actually have a place to sit and watch this. You need to be empathetic, be the brains, understand what your clients want and what they need.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
I just see Facebook user on my end. Who said you are advising us to be emotionally invested with over 600 people each year? Because I have a thought on this. It's in the Facebook.
Oh, Terry. Terry said, you're advising us to be emotionally invested. So, okay, I would understand the theory. But okay.
I got this.
Okay, go ahead.
So Taylor Swift, Kanye, there's a bunch of other just famous people that do a really good job of this. This is called scaling the unscalable. And obviously they have millions of fans and they can't individually interact one-on-one with everybody because they just can't, right? As you're pointing out, it's a numbers game. But what you can do is you can kind of pick and choose your spots as to who you give maybe a little bit more attention to. Maybe if you know it's a higher bidding job, they're going to get your main focus, obviously. But just being able to understand that you can't do it for everybody. But if you just try and make that conscious effort to try and do it as often as possible, you're not going to close all 600. But shit, you get 50 projects on the books just off of that alone. Or even if you just, the lower that you go and the more attention that you're able to give, it's just making sure where you can't touch everybody. No one's asking you to be able to touch everybody, but if you just keep that in the forefront of your mind over and over again, that's naturally going to just become the habit and the standard for your company.
And I totally agree with that. And to answer Terry's situation, this is what it's about. When you really know why your customer is buying, you'll start to recognize that there are very few reasons. They're not a huge gamut of reasons. There's very few reasons. And you understanding that why allows for you to best take care of them. All right? I use the example all the time. Let's talk about a kitchen. All right? Why does someone get a kitchen redone? All right? They get it done because it's not functional anymore. And that may be because of the fact that it's just old and outdated. Also, it doesn't look good. So that's an old and outdated piece. It's not functional. Maybe not functional anymore to their new lifestyle. Maybe they're looking for more of an open concept, or maybe as their family has grown, they need more space to entertain. So it's not really that many reasons why that's changing. So if you understand that, even though it's 600 people out there that you may be dealing with, they all have the same reasons why they want a kitchen. So when you're able to take care of them, you're taking care of them in that way. So yes, you are emotionally invested. I mean, like straight up, like, I will ask the question. Terry, and Logan kind of talked about it. Entrepreneurship is a young, driven person's game. All right, Terry, I'm gonna tell you right now. When we have 600 clients on our end, CGN, and we don't give them that attention that they want, like they won't. They don't care. We have 600 clients. What they care about is that they're not getting the experience they want. Like, there will be certain pain points in everybody's process, but we have to understand that everyone is going to experience. Everyone is going to experience. And we need to be very cognizant of the experience that they're getting. So yes, if you are going to put on big boy shorts, you got to do big boy stuff, and you got to be emotionally invested. Now, you can scale that situation by understanding who your ideal customer is, why they buy, but you have a responsibility to give that to all of your customers. All right, because if I went out there and I bought a brand new iPhone, and I can say, well, hey, they got millions of other people who buy iPhones. Maybe I understand why they're giving me a crappy experience. I'm not going to accept that as a reality. I'm looking for that experience to be good on my end too, and they understand what people are looking for when they're buying a new iPhone. Hey, this is a new phone. It's got to come with a charger because I want to be able to utilize that. I have an old phone. How do I get those old contacts into my new phone? Maybe I don't know how to use an iPhone first and foremost. So that's why when you unlock an iPhone, it walks you through, hey, are we starting this up from scratch? Like, it integrates to all my other systems as well. They understand who I am, and I'm no different than most people out there. So yes, they are emotionally invested so that my experience, my success is actually taken care of. All right, so I know we kind of rambled on this a little bit.
It's 7 o'clock right now. What do you want to do? You want to try and get through, or do you want to hold off?
Let's go to the next slide and talk about this real quick, because this is one thing that
that's literally right behind you.
Well, yeah, it's right behind me, and I'm going to ask you guys this: what are your business values? All right, what are your business values? Okay, so recently we had a conversation with Suhaiba, and
who's Sue?
So Suhaiba is actually works with the Contractor Fight team. Awesome. Highly recommend her. She actually is helping us out with some of our systems over here. So she is a systems genius. And we're going through our company values. And our company values and how they're communicating that messaging to people. So the first one, what's our first company value?
Action oriented. Ask for forgiveness, not for permission.
Okay? And I love that one. That's probably one of my favorite ones because I'm very much on that idea of asking for forgiveness and permission. It needs to be proactive. And when we talked about that from an outside perspective, she said, hey, I love that value, but the way it's worded could be improved. We're like, what do you mean by that? Because what was going on is, if you straight up ask for forgiveness and permission, like, is that being put out to our customers? Are we going to do things out there that they're not going to, we're not asking them for, we're just going to do stuff? Like, we needed to really think about that. And what she suggested was, it'd be more like, hey, be proactive, not reactive. All right, be proactive, which is what we're really going for, is because Logan champions people out there who are proactive. Mm-hmm. All right, we've had somebody, we've had some awesome hires recently. All right, and I can think of people that are no longer here at CGN, and that's the reason why they're no longer here is not because they're bad people, just because they're not proactive. They didn't align with our company values. Mm-hmm. They were like, when you are operating in the space we're operating, which is very much expansive growth, there's not much hand-holding that happens over here. You have to be proactive. All right, so what are your business values? What are your business values, and how are they translating to your people? All right, so what I want to do right now is I want to stop this, but I want to stop it on a implementation note.
Love it.
All right. What I want you to do right now is I want you to do it in the next 5 minutes. Post inside the group in Common Sense Contracting. Post inside the group a small blurb of the messaging that you are putting out. All right. What is the message that you are putting out as a company? We do this and we do that. All right. What's the messaging you're putting out for your company? All right. What's your story? All right. What message are you putting out to people? Because if you take some time right now to type this up and post this, you're going to understand where your gaps are, where your shortcomings are. And then once you actually write what your ideal messaging is, who you are as a company, what you do for people, what message you're putting out to people, then you're also going to say, do my actions align with my message? Are the things that I'm doing right now actually aligning with my message? All right? Love that, Jason. Make it count. Make it count. All right, so right now, I'm going to hop off here. You guys have a great night. Hop off this. Go straight to the board and type out. Take 5 minutes right now, because I'm telling you right now, if you do this, it will pay off dividends for you. Because I'm sure right now, many people out there have thought to themselves, you know what? I can care about my people more than I care about them right now. And when you start doing things like that, it actually affects and it shows up in the way you actually come connected. All right, the way you actually present yourself to your customer. All right, you're dealing with a lot of people out there. The barrier of entry is really easy to hop in your space. So you're actually competing with the low ball people, and you want to make sure that you're not a commodity. People, there's so much information out there that people are being overwhelmed with it. So you have to have very clear and dialed in messaging. So typing this out is going to be super important for you. And people are really, tightening with their money. In the sense of they're very discerning with where they're going to spend their money. And they want to make sure they're spending it in the right spot. So that's going to all happen. You need to be very clear about your messaging and what you're putting out there. All right? Recognizing that your vibe attracts your tribe. And the people that you're getting coming in right now are a reflection of what you are putting out there to people. All right, so I'm going to challenge you guys right now to hop off here, type out your messaging, put it out there,